Hello, this is Lady Ninja, and welcome to my personal review on Resident Evil 6. I might ramble on a little bit, but I hope you bear with me. A lot of people didn't like Resident Evil 6 because there was a lot of action horror, and a lot of people missed the old survival horror that the old Resident Evil had, where you had funny camera angles and you also felt vulnerable because when I tried to play Resident Evil 1 again, I couldn't handle the controls well like I used to a long time ago when I first started, until I got used to it again. Now it's more over-the-shoulder action-based game, and I think it started with Resident Evil 4 with Leon Kennedy, where he goes to, I forgot where he goes to. I forgot where he goes to, but there's a lot of Spanish zombies talking, and this is where everything started with the over-the-shoulder action-based horror, and where the smart zombie started, where you had them holding weapons, you had them communicating, you had them mutating in case they lost a limb, most likely their head, and then something grew out of it. But I personally like Resident Evil 6, and that reminds me that Resident Evil 5 got a lot of hate because of the zombies that were able to talk too, and they held weapons. But the way I see it, just like the military wants their soldiers to survive and attack and evolve in case they lost a limb, I guess that's how they wanted it. And I guess they wanted their C-virus to evolve too. That's why you had these strange creatures like the bat. Of course you had the lickers in, in part 5. And some other strange creatures that they morphed into, but in part 6 they really mutated into a lot of different shit. And in part 5 is when they started the, not really started, is when they had the multiplayer co-op system. But if I remember, Resident Evil 0 had a multiplayer system as well, but it was a single player multiplayer system with the old Resident Evil, funny angles and all that stuff. It had Rebecca Chambers and a convict by the name of Billy Cohen, where you had to switch between them to solve traps and all that stuff. I don't remember a lot in Resident Evil 5 having a lot of puzzles to solve. I think in the mostly when they were in the caves they had a lot of solving to do, but in Resident Evil 6 I noticed there was a lot of problem, puzzle solving in some parts. As quick as it was, they had minor puzzle solving. I also like that the game was a bit more smoother, in the running. It was I felt like it was a bit quicker. If you had mess ups like me, sometimes when you moved a little too fast, you can adjust the camera speed, put it at a lower setting so it won't be that messed up. I also like that you can, run and slide and shoot, and also plant one of those C4 grenades. I also like that Jake was a character that used hand-to-hand combat. It was kind of hard when I was playing his campaign, where he had no weapons and I had to use my hands because the enemies had, weapons. But there was one part that I kind of pulled out a combo pretty good, but you just have to get used to it. I also like the melee system in the game. If you don't have a lot of ammo, you can melee the enemies, but you also had to watch out how much you hit them because you had a stamina bar. So if you used it up, then you either had to replenish it with a tablet if your life was low, or you had to wait until it went up slowly by itself. And you could also add an extra bar, I think, with the perks. And also about the perk system, that made you think about what you wanted to use. If you wanted more item drops, like more red herbs or green herbs or weapons, then you could have put the item drop increase in there. I put it a little late. I put it in the Ada Wong campaign, when I could have been using it earlier in the previous campaigns, when you see me run out of ammo and I didn't know what to do. And luckily I still made it out of there. I bet you a lot of people were frustrated that some of the bosses kept coming back, like the Ustinot kept coming back. That chainsaw dude kept coming back in the J campaign. And Simmons, you had to repeatedly fight him. Like, he kept changing form every time. But it was pretty fun. Each campaign had its own feeling as well. Leon's campaign had the old Resident Evil where you fought slow-moving zombies, but there wasn't slow-moving zombies in there. They also had like Whopper, the big fat zombie that I called the Boomer in one of my videos, but he doesn't explode. He just basically rams you. If he runs, he'll basically try to flatten you and, you know, knock you down. They also had the Screamer where it fills up the goiter and lets out a big scream and basically blows out your ear. It takes a little bit of health, but it also calls in other zombies, which was kind of frustrating, especially if you had in the cemetery where you had the ones that mutated into the harder, tough-skinned ones that jumped at you. That was frustrating. Chris's campaign felt more like what people were saying. It felt like a Gears of War Resident Evil, but I guess that's what they wanted it to be because it was more. He was military, so they wanted a little bit more action based, and it was an all-out war against people who were taking these injections to mutate themselves, you know, in case they lost a limb. Because you notice in the Chris campaign, depends on which you play, you notice that they morph into a lot of things like spiders, like birds, like Gila monsters, grasshopper legs, a lot of stuff. I even saw one that turned into like a beehive, like he had 2 bees heads, even a walking beehive. So that was pretty cool. I liked what, you know, the new stuff that they pulled in here. But they also had a cover system, which I sometimes fail to utilize to defend myself, you know, not to get hit so much. I think I started using it more in the Ada Wong, where you had to do a little more stealth. But it was a little bit kind of wonky to work with the duck and cover, but it worked best if you were hiding behind the wall instead of, you know, bending down and stuff, because I usually fucked up when I did that. Jake's campaign was still action based, but you also had some sequences where you had to run away in a snowmobile, one of those snowmobiles where you had to escape the Yabo and the avalanche, and also where you had a motorcycle sequence. I died in some of those parts, but who didn't? Until you got used to, you know, where to swerve and all that stuff. And it also felt like a love story between Jake and Sherry. I don't know if people noticed that, but that was kind of cute. And I think I didn't get to play Mercenaries, because Mercenaries is like basically the same thing since Resident Evil 4. I think that's where it started, where you just punch hourglasses to get more time and create combos to get more points and all this stuff. And there was one called Agent Hunt, when if somebody plays online, you could basically go in there and troll their game so they won't proceed, you know, kill them and all that stuff. You get turned into one of the monsters, but you know, the controls were a little bit kind of wonky, and especially with the I forgot the one that breaks apart. He takes himself apart. It's pretty hard to kill unless you hit him with a strong weapon, like you burn him or something like that. That one, if you basically stayed on the floor. If they hit you with a strong enough weapon, you stay on the floor for basically the whole thing until they pass it. So, and then you don't gain points like you do in Mercenaries. I don't think they should have added that without the ability to, you know, get points for at least hitting the person or knocking them down. I don't know why they did that, but it's fun if you want to, you know, fuck people up. Despite other people disliking the game, I personally liked it. A lot of people, like I said, wanted the old Resident Evil when it was just one person surviving, you know, the horror setting, but now it's hit worldwide. With the Leon Kennedy Resident Evil 4, they started with that village, and now they're spreading it worldwide. Like you've seen, they spread it in China. And it's not just one person surviving anymore. It's a whole bunch of people surviving. I guess that's why they made those 4 campaigns. But you let me know what you think in the commentary. What you liked about this game, what you disliked about the game. Everybody has their personal, you know, likes and dislikes. But I hope you enjoyed my playthrough. I hope you enjoyed my commentary in the playthrough, and I hope you understood what I was trying to say in this review. It's not much of a review. It's just, you know, my personal thoughts. Some people may agree, some people may not agree, but that's up to you. And I hope you enjoyed it. And thanks for watching.